You know, I remember a time where you could go to GameStop and, just buy a game. And that was it. That was the whole experience. All you did was go there and buy the game. That seems like a very distant memory in 2026. Because nowadays you have to worry about microtransactions, limited time sales, buying skins in the battle passes, which was just something that didn't exist 10, 15 years ago. And look, I'm not saying that just to sound old or nostalgic, but gaming today feels very different. Because if we're being honest, today it feels like every game has a price tag. And then another one. And then inevitably another one.
$10 to upgrade to the full version? $10 to press start? What the they talking about?
I don't know. Pay for it though, I'm trying to play.
Yes. I know this game's gonna be fun. They made us pay $10 for the start. Another $10 to play versus mode?
And the crazy part is that didn't happen all at once. Gaming didn't just fall off overnight. It changed over time. And it changed because of one particular thing. Greed, which conveniently is the topic of this video today. What's good with y'all? It's Snatch, and today we're going to be talking about the greediest practices in gaming corporations. And ultimately how the tactics might get worse if we as consumers don't step up and stop this from happening, because I do want to remind y'all, ultimately as consumers, we do have the power. The customer is always right. Look, before we get too deep into the video, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, do all the good things. Every bit of support is much appreciated. But without further ado, let's get into it a little deeper. All right, let's first start off with DLC, because this is where I first started noticing that something was off. Back then, DLC actually meant something new, not just like a small add-on to the game, but almost a completely different experience. I mean, if you look at things like GTA 4 with the Ballad of Gay Tony, that whole expansion pack is almost a completely different game in itself. It provides a completely different experience than the base game of GTA 4. Another good example of this is the Dawnguard or Hearthfire DLC from Skyrim. The Dawnguard DLC literally lets you play as a vampire lord and lets you explore more into the vampire lore. I hope y'all don't confuse that I said lord and lore. Anyway, y'all get the point, let's move on. But it lets you dive into a deeper side of the vampire history that you weren't able to previously in the game. And see, that's what DLCs are supposed to be. You're supposed to have the base game that's the experience and the expansion pack that adds something to the game. Now, I'm not saying that the DLC has to be like an entirely different game, but it definitely should add something substantial to the base game. Nowadays, I feel like games come out like they already know what DLC they're going to sell you later. Look at Call of Duty or 2K. At launch, you're paying full price, and then immediately the game starts trying to sell you more stuff. In 2K, you literally can't even like reasonably complete My Career without buying VC. That's not a DLC. That's just locking a game behind a paywall. But to keep it more on the RPG side of things, let's talk about Bethesda's recent game, Starfield. They literally already had the House of Va'ruun expansion pack scheduled before the game even released, which I am still mad about because I bought the $100 version to pre-order and never even played the DLC because I didn't like the game. But that is an entirely different discussion in itself, and one that I've actually made a video on, shameless plug. You know, when Starfield first dropped, or let's even go farther back than that, before Starfield dropped, I think people expected these DLCs to be kind of like Skyrim or Fallout 4, which even though it's a modern game, I will admit, like the Nuka World DLC definitely added a completely different experience than the base game. Now, was it up to some people's standards? Maybe not, but me personally, I think I still had fun with it. But in Starfield, the Shattered Space DLC is literally just more Starfield, not something new at all. And if you don't really get what I'm trying to say, I'm saying that Skyrim's DLC really felt like Bethesda sat down and was like, how can we make this game better? How can we add to this already existing world? Starfield's DLC felt like it was part of the plan, and they intentionally withheld it from you so they could sell it to you later. Because why is House of Va'ruun one of the main factions in the game has pretty much no explanation anywhere else. Don't get me wrong, there are some small parts and some small explanations, but why is there no main storyline in the actual base game that we can play through? And I can already hear some comments trying to poke holes in my argument. Well, didn't Nuka World, which you said you like, just allow you to explore the Raiders? The Raiders in the Fallout universe have never been a playable faction. So even the idea of them letting you do that was a completely different experience. And it was kind of low-key community driven because people were really complaining about not being able to be the bad guy in Fallout 4. So Nuka World really gave players that ability to do that, which again is a completely different experience than the goody two-shoes that you were forced to play as in Fallout 4. Now, not every game does this wrong. I do want to point out a game that did DLC really well, which is Cyberpunk 2077. I'm not gonna lie, Phantom Liberty was amazing. I think that was literally one of the best DLCs that I've played in the past couple of years. And honestly, I think I would go as far to say as Phantom Liberty is by itself better than a lot of games. Now again, that's just my opinion. Don't come at me for that. But yeah, Phantom Liberty really added on to Cyberpunk's already existing world. And it allowed you to tap into something that quite frankly the base game never did. Okay, I feel like this topic might surprise some of y'all. The whole $60 to $70 discussion. Personally, I don't even understand why people are mad at this to begin with. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh yeah, this is just another indicator of corporate greed. But I really am inclined to disagree. Because if anything, I'm actually surprised that games have even been able to stay $60 for this long. I mean, really think about it. Games have been $50 to $60 for around 15 to 20 years. And that dates all the way back to like Xbox 360, PS3 days. We're on the PS5 now. And the crazy part about it is that literally everything else in our life, literally everything else, has went up as a result of inflation, the world, all of that good stuff. But games have actually remained the same. And you know what has not remained the same? The production costs of these games. I don't know if y'all know or not, but these games are not cheap to make at all. To put it into perspective, GTA 4 costs around $100 million to develop. I believe GTA 5 costs around $250 to $300 million to develop. And GTA 6 costs $1 billion to develop.
With me, right?
First of all, let's just start with the GTA 4 to GTA 5 difference. Let's think about it. There's literally a double in price to develop, but the price at launch stayed the exact same for both games. Now, I know a lot of people have been speculating that GTA 6 will cost a lot more. Some people even saying as high as $100 to $200. And I'm gonna be honest, and you don't have to agree with my opinion, but if GTA 6 costs $100, $200, I'm still copping day one. I don't care. It's GTA 6. You think I'm gonna miss out on that conversation? And I really honestly feel like it'd be well worth it because again, GTA 6 is gonna cost $1 billion to make. That's not even just a game budget anymore. That's more than actual movies cost to produce. If you really think about it though, a video game is low-key just a big movie, an interactable movie if you're thinking about it. You got full voice acting, motion capture, actors who are literally doing performances, and a lot of actors who have actually been in movies before this. And including all of this stuff gets us what? A $10 increase? I'm not that mad about it. Now I would see if it costs $200, $300, but $10, bro. You're complaining about $10? Bro, gas prices just went up $10 like last week.
High gas prices.
Well, they're not very high. If you look at what they were supposed to be in order to get rid of a nuclear weapon with the danger that entails. So the gas prices have come down very much over the last 3-4 days.
I'm still upset about that. It used to cost $30 to fill my tank. You talking about 50 shit now? But to end this particular topic, personally, I don't have a problem with paying more for a game. A great game, that is. Now, what I do have a problem at is paying more for lesser quality. But honestly, in probably 85% of cases, we're not getting it. All right, let's talk about the biggest elephant in the room, microtransactions. Because I think this is the biggest punching bag for where things went wrong. At first, it was just small stuff. Oh, you want a skin? You want some horse armor? It was optional things. But now it's literally just stuff that you need to play the game and enjoy it. You literally load up a game and you already see the stuff they're trying to offer you. Bundles, previously mentioned skins, currency packs. It more feels like you're starting to play a mall instead of a video game. I think Fortnite is the most perfect and popular example of how this system works. And to be fair, Fortnite is free, so that does make sense. But let's really look at what they do. constant shop updates, collabs, limited skins, limited dances. Their intention is to keep you checking every day. Now let's get that same system and put it into a full price game. And that's where the problem lies. I think the most obvious example of this is 2K. 2K is a $60, $70 game that comes out every year. Which I want to say, a game coming out every year is definitely a greedy practice. Because as we have seen with 2K, Madden, even Assassin's Creed, which y'all are so down bad for making one of my favorite gaming franchise a yearly release. It is super hard to make a game significantly better than the last one if it comes out every year. But anyway, back to the main topic. People will literally buy and pre-order 2K. They already have their $70 for the game, and they already have $100 set aside just to buy VC. And they aren't buying VC just because they want to support 2K that much. They want to buy VC just so they can have a chance at Park and Line. You can't even like literally get on the park and play a basic game mode provided in the game without buying stuff. Unless you want to go on that long grind on My Career. And if we're being honest, that's going to be at least 10, 20 hours of work in My Career. Now, I do have to be fair to 2K and say that, yes, that is an option. If you want to do that, ultimately you can do that. But you are not heavily incentivized to do that. And sometimes these games are really sneaky with it too. It's not always going to be buy this so you get better at the game. Sometimes it's going to be mass. Oh, buy this boost. Buy this card pack. Do this if you want to skip the grind. But if you can pay money to get ahead of somebody else, I'm sorry to let y'all know, but that is literally the definition of pay to win. And don't even get me started on some of those lesser popular live service games. Things like Concord. I know Marvel Avengers just came out. Lesser popular live service games. They'll drop the game. They might not get the players they want. And if they don't, they'll literally drop and stop supporting the servers. And those servers for an only online game means that there is no longer a game to play. So in that case, you literally wasted your money. Meaning that you did not buy a game, you just rented it for the time that it was available. And look, I want to point out, every game is not like this. There's definitely a lot of game developers still doing it right. Look at games like Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, even with the base game, the expansions. It came out a while ago, but The Witcher 3. And one of my favorites to talk about, Cyberpunk 2077, that yes, while it may have dropped to not the best fan reception, they completely updated and overhauled the game for free. So I do feel like that is worth something. But realistically, what do all these things have in common? You pay once and that's it. You get the game. And that's how it should be. And I really want y'all to take note of one thing. See how these games respect your time, they respect your money, and guess what they still do at the end of the day? Succeed. Because ultimately, if you're in an industry that's about creating a product that people are going to like or dislike, if you create the best product, the money will follow. But if you build something clearly with the intention to monetize it to the fullest extent, people are going to notice that. But I do also want to say, again, I feel like as consumers, as people who purchase these games, we have to take some sort of accountability too. Because corporations wouldn't keep doing this if we didn't keep buying it. Do you think that 2K will drop the same trash game every year if it isn't always one of the best selling games? No, they will go back to the drawing board and figure out something different. If the community pushed against VC and stopped buying VC, they wouldn't push VC as hard. So I do feel like you have to look at it from a company's point of view. If people are buying this, seemingly enjoying it, why would we ever stop? And all we have to worry about is a few people who are complaining on the internet. Yes, while your internet complaints might be loud, they don't cost them money, so they'll never care. And most of these corporate people, a lot of them aren't gamers anyway, and we know this with Ubisoft and stuff. But all of that leads us to what's gonna happen next. And I really realistically could see it either going two ways. One, either these greedy tactics are gonna become increasingly more aggressive, or two, players are actually going to start to stop supporting games that don't respect them, and it's going to make the corporations change as a whole. Again, I want to remind y'all, we are the people who decide what wins in gaming. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all today. Again, remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Again, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Comment if you agree with me. Comment some more takes on how you feel about this situation. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.